So how is the divine masculine? We'll turn a minute to just have you go inside and think about how did the divine masculine, how did God, the God in us, how did the divine masculine present in your family? Just think about that. Could you imagine that your father was a god? How about your mother, a goddess? Silence. What does the divine mean? Connected with, coming from, relating to, emanating from God, caused by God, or goddess, or like God, or goddess. So if we are a god and goddess within, and we look out at our world, then I see the goddess in you, and I see the God in you, and the goddess, and the goddess, and a goddess, and I go around the room. Because if I'm a god or goddess, depending on my gender, then what I see around me are all of the emanations of the divine everywhere. So, something just came in that I want to share. How then, our workshops and our talks and Carola's this morning and Thomas's last night, and we're talking about collective trauma. We have to talk about collective trauma. But I believe we also have to talk about the divine. And we have to help ourselves allow the divine a place in our life. Because it will create a duality in us again, yet again. Trauma. I only can feel the collective trauma, but how do I reach this other light that's within me, this emanation? How do I have both? How can I have both? Do I have permission? Do I have permission to have both? Can I look at the really hard suffering that happened in me and in my mother's life and in my father's life and so on, and can I see the God in them and the goddess in them and in myself? So I don't want this to feel like any type of a spiritual bypassing at all. That is not what we're describing. But to be able to begin with the fact that we come into this world with a lot of light, incredible amounts of light. And whether you heard Carola talk about it this morning, all of those psychic abilities are in every single one of us, where each and every one of us are born with those. And then they get taught out of us. So how can we bring them back? Like she said, listening and working and looking. And we'll look more today at our work. So the divine. So in systemic family constellations, I'm going to back up for a minute and leave this here. In systemic family constellations, what happens is we get to look at the divine as we cross the bridge of acknowledging what happened, accepting what happened, and agreeing to all that happened in our family system.